And 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. How you doing? Dave Fennoy here. Another adventure in Ask Dave Fennoy Anything. Boy, I've had a busy day, and I just walked in the door like 5 minutes ago. Car was in the shop, had to go get it. Took them longer than it was supposed to be, and blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah. But here I am. And ordinarily, I jot some notes to myself. Oh, we could talk about this, we could talk about this, we could talk about this. Haven't jotted any notes, so it's completely and totally off the cuff. But let me start saying hello. Hey, Brian. Andre Sosa, how you doing, man? And Andre. Lisa Tillis, Michael Paladine. Hamadi, how are you? And Randy Morrison joined. Randy, hope you get better soon. Hamadi, Diane Ellis. I was working with a student today, and, I really like all my students, but there's always something just a little bit different with each one, some more so than others. And when I say there's no shade meant in that. Some people who may say have come out of radio, or they've come out of people have told them, hey, you've got a great voice for radio. Wow. Hey, do you do voiceovers? You sound wonderful. People who have heard that all their lives and maybe have or don't have acting ability, but they've got a voice that they think people will listen to. And this young man has a voice that I would listen to, but it's not your typical. It's not a voice like mine. It doesn't have the depth, the range of the basso profundo, but it's a really good voice, and he has a really interesting background, and that's what I like about him, and that's what is going to make him successful, is that he truly is unique. So just want to stress again, just because you don't have what you think of as a voiceover voice doesn't mean you don't have a voiceover voice, because you know exactly what kind of voice you need to do voiceover, the voice you've got. It's not about how wonderful and round and rich or gravelly or any of that stuff. We notice that stuff. It's going to become part of your signature, but what you really have to do is connect here and here. You have to talk to people in such a way, you have to take those words off the page and touch the listener. Connect, human to human. Unless, of course, you're playing a dragon or a monster of some kind, or a droid, then it's droid, monster, dragon to human, or other monster or something. Anyway, Evan, how you doing? Reggie, what's going on? Harry Leg. That's a hell of a name, Harry Leg. Joanna Garcia, hi Dave, good to see you too. Sean Lewis, Mark Preston, Isabella Tugman. And hey, Mark, how you doing? Linda, hey, how about some questions? I mean, that's what this is all about. Ask Dave Fennoy Anything, although I did have a question for you. What have you done today to further your voiceover career? What have you done today? Was it new equipment? Was it taking a class? Was it contacting agents or prospective clients, or reestablishing yourself with some clients that you haven't heard from for a while? Was it practicing some new techniques? Was it listening to some other people's demos to kind of get an idea of, what the market is like and who might have something similar to you? What did you do? Hey, Tommy Graffman. Speaking of which, my buddy Tommy Graffman, Mac My Day, if you've got anything wrong with your Mac, I don't know if he does anything with PCs, but if anything is wrong with your Mac, Tommy Graffman, Mac My Day. Now, you will have to put up with his bad jokes. I'm sorry. They're terrible. You'll find yourself laughing and then wondering why later, but Tommy is the best. So if you've got a problem with your Mac, give Tommy Graffman a call, Mac My Day. Oh, I'm going to hear it for that. Isabella, I'm negotiating with a new client and working on my social media marketing. Very good. And while we're here, one of the best things about doing this is people offer up the things they're doing and their tips. So Isabella, you're the first one to make mention there of what you're doing. Uh, Negotiating with new client and working on your social media marketing. And if you want to mark down a little bit later on what it is exactly you're doing, how are you negotiating with your clients? How successful has it been? Is this something you've always been doing? Um, I saw someone else had posted something earlier today about negotiating with clients. They they said a lot of times you will, if you're working for yourself. I'm lucky. I've got agents that handle that. But if you're negotiating for yourself, and occasionally I have had to do that, and you give them your price, and they come back and say, well, I can get somebody to do it for less. What do you say? What do you say? Do you say, well, thank you, bye? No, I don't think that's what you should do. You might want to suggest, well, if you like what I'm doing, I just want to let you know I am definitely worth the price. And I'd hate to see you get in a situation where you've spent the money and still have to come back to me and pay my price. Or is there something else we can work out? You don't necessarily want to let them off the hook, but you don't necessarily, you don't want to sell yourself cheap, but you don't want to destroy the relationship. And very often your best bet is to keep them talking and find out what it is they're looking for, what it is they need. Perhaps they're looking for somebody who can be an ongoing relationship. And, you always give a price for bulk. If somebody is going to keep you working day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, you're probably going to give them a deal as opposed to that one-time thing. So don't just blow them off. Don't get mad. Oh, well, it's just too little. Even though that's how you feel, keep the conversation going a little bit longer and let them know that, well, if this guy doesn't work out or this gal doesn't work out, happy to help you out any way that I can. All right. Hairy Leg did some marketing and took care of some clients. Excellent. Christina Tatterson auditioned for an audiobook. I know, audiobook people, don't be mad at me. One of the wonderful things about this business is you can do the things that you want to do. I have done 3 books, and you've heard me say it before, I hope to never do a 4th. I just don't have the attention span to stick with the same book day in, day out for however long it takes, and then have to edit my mistakes because we're all going to make mistakes. And it's just too much work. And I'll tell you the story again. I was doing promos for ABC, went in, said one word. 2 weeks later, had a check for $2,500 because they put it on a bunch of spots. Every time I think about doing an audiobook, that story pops into my mind and I go, oh no, it's just too much work for too little money. Which brings me to another thought. People, I think, because of the legend of Don LaFontaine, and maybe I shouldn't even use the word legend because it's all true. Don was the best of us. Don, $30,000, $40,000 a day, doing promos for networks and movie trailers. And I think a lot of people get it in their head that that's what it's going to be. A lot of people rate how much money you're making with how much happiness you have. And if you're a person that does audiobooks and you're keeping clothes on your back, food in your belly, and a roof over your head, and you're enjoying life, it doesn't matter that you're making this much or that much. You have a good life. If you're enjoying what you're doing, you're a success. A lot of people making a lot of money that I still wouldn't call them a success because maybe they're miserable. It's not money that makes us happy, but it can make you comfortable in your misery. Okay, question, Isabella. How do you deal with a client who can't decide what they want and keep changing their minds? Um, well, most of us men understand that. Yes, and that was a sexist joke there. Very sorry. Uh, a lot of clients, you might want to help them. Uh, what I would suggest doing is have the conversation with them, not what do you want? And then when they give you something else and you do that and then, well, gosh, and I'm not sure that's what I wanted either. Rather than just be frustrated and continue to ask, well, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Is use a little of your own discretion. What do you think they need? How can I help this person so that I am helped making this session shorter and keep the money coming my way for this work? Become a creative partner with them. Oh, well, what is it you're trying to accomplish? Once again, it's kind of like the guy that didn't want to pay you that much because he got this cheap guy over here. Find out what it is they need. Show an interest in them and what they're trying to solve. Questions like with that, they don't know what they want because well, who's your audience? Who are you trying to target? How do you want them to feel? The people who are using your product, who are they? How do they typically use it? What are the concerns they have that come back to you that you'd like to address? Things like that will show your client that you're interested in them. You are more than just a pretty voice, which of course you are. And I would suggest going down that route. Dean Muse asked David, okay, so if we wanted to really cool dreads, how long till we could get to your epic status? Well, this is 20 plus years of growing, and it would be longer if they didn't break off. But if you got some curly hair, go for it. If your hair is really, really straight, may not be that good enough. Adriana Serna Ruiz, how are you? Adam Carlson, how are you? Happy birthday. Yeah, that's right. What's your birthday? Harry Leg. I can't get over that name. And how does that work when you're out dating and you meet some, oh, hey, how you doing? Oh, what's your name? Oh, my name's Harry Leg. Sure. I really agree with your comment about being happy. Money is great, but balance in life is important. Not sure golden handcuffs are the answer. True. And by the same token, it seems like it's a double-edged sword. We need to be paid more. We do. The ownership, ruling class, most of the problems we have, not just as voiceover people, but as working people in the United States, are because the rich and greedy don't want to pay us a reasonable wage. And it's amazing how, I saw the quote, the people that are making, thousands of dollars an hour will convince somebody that's making $40 an hour that the person that's making $15 an hour is making too much money. It's insane. All right. What did I miss? Did I miss any questions? Andre Sosa, I've had a class practicing with my students some voice register with some different mics. Speaking of which, I occasionally do some work for some microphone companies, and I did a mic shootout with Blue last week. Yeah, it was last week. And they've got a couple of new mics. They've got some new headphones coming out. And they're not bad. Blue is making some really good mics. I think my favorite among the ones that we did, their more affordable line. And got to work with a baby bottle. And it sounded really good. The baby bottle, they put it up against a U87, a couple other higher-end mics, and it held its own. Now, it's, I think, a $300 mic, so it's not going to be quite that good. But it held its own. It's definitely worth the money if you're looking for a decent condenser microphone. And speaking of microphones, too, one of the discussions we were having there, they had a couple other voiceover people and people just getting into voiceover who were asking about mics. And there was a young lady who was pretty insistent upon getting a dynamic mic because she had been a singer all her life. And it took a lot to convince her. I think we finally did convince her, get a condenser mic. But that's what she felt comfortable with, a dynamic. And of course, some companies are now making active dynamics that are also powered. But do yourself a favor if you're a person looking for your first microphone for voiceover. Don't reinvent the wheel. Get yourself a decent condenser mic. They're not as expensive as they used to be. You can get in on a starter level. There's several good brands. Blue is a good brand. MXL makes some decent mics. The Rode MT1 or NT1. A brand that people are sleeping on, SE, the SE 2200A, which is kind of a knockoff of the U87, but really nice mic. And I know for a lot of us, we don't have perfect studios. That 416, the shotgun mic, now that's a little more expensive. It's going to run you about $900 if you can catch it on sale. But it's what I have hanging now. Got a mic collection, but damned if I don't just keep coming back to that 416 or my Neumann TLM 103. Let's see. Kier, oh, how you doing, Kier? Jeffrey Needles, how you doing? Bill Holmes, one of the best that ever did and got away with it. Mark Grau joined. Hey, the famous Mark Grau Studios and the famous Mark Grau. Sometimes people ask me who else I could take voiceover lessons from, and I would put Mark Grau on that list for sure. And he does a really good video game workshop as well. John Moody, I have a situation during a job where the lines weren't flowing quite right. Since I write comedy, I had a fix in mind, but didn't want to step in on the writer's toes. Eventually, I was asked if I had a suggestion, and I was able to help out. Are there jobs where you have to walk the tightrope of helping things along, but not angering the writer? I'm going to say, A, have a little more confidence in yourself. If you've got some skills like writing comedy, that's a definite skill. If it's not flowing, and you saw what happened. I mean, you just described it. Finally, they came to you and said, geez, can you help us out here? People are just people. And we are imperfect creatures. We make mistakes. Most people are walking the streets hoping people don't discover how insecure and sensitive and afraid they are. We all go through it. And sometimes it feels like a scary world. So don't be afraid to, when things aren't going well, gee, that's just not good, to make a suggestion. If they don't want it, they'll tell you. Chances are they won't cuss you out or anything. But if you can show them the error of their ways, maybe don't do it quite. Oh, let me show you the error of your ways. But that's not working a little bit there. You know what? I had an idea. Mind if I try something? Chances are they're going to say yes. And you fix it, suddenly you become the hero. Guess who they're going to want to hire the next time they have a script for this product or this narration? They're going to want to come to you, John Moody. So, make the suggestion. Now, if it's just a suggestion that's a little part of your ego, you'd like to say it like this instead of like that, even though that works and that works, don't be that guy. But if they're having a little problems, things aren't flowing the way they should flow, and you can see it and feel it, step up. All right. Hey, Bianca Skinner, how you doing? And Bianca says, good evening, everyone. Yes, decent condenser mic, agreed. Thank you, Andre. What's your advice for marketing tactics? Do you recommend attaching your face to your voiceover brand? Some people's faces don't look like they fit with their voice type. Early in my career, I would not put a picture of my face because I didn't want to be pigeonholed into just African-American work or black work or urban work or whatever you're going to call it. I wanted to do all the work. Didn't have anything against doing urban work, but to use a euphemism, or black work. But I wanted to be a general market voice as well. So I wouldn't put a picture on anything for the longest time. And I don't know exactly when it happened, but somewhere along the way, I had been in the business long enough that people knew who I was. And suddenly it was the right time, or maybe beyond the right time, to put my picture on. Well, now, I didn't grow them for that reason, but these are kind of part of the trademark. So, yeah, I put my picture on things. I think sometimes when you say you don't look like your voice, I kind of get what you're saying. And maybe in a case like that where maybe you look like Mike Tyson but you sound like Daffy Duck, maybe you don't want to put your picture on because your picture is going to suggest certain things. Like I didn't want to put my picture on because I thought it would suggest, oh, this is a black guy. He can't talk to a general market audience. Crazy, huh? So, yeah, I think it can be a concern. But I think it's a good idea nowadays to find a way that some kind of picture that really represents you. I've seen some great animated pictures that work for people that don't really quite look exactly like them, but look like them, if you know what I mean. And especially if you can get that kind of in the mood, the feel of what your voice sounds like. I think that would be a good idea. Do you have to have a picture? No. I'll tell you where I think you should have a picture is on your business card. And I tell you why, because I go to conventions, both for, pop culture conventions and voiceover conventions, and I get people handing me their cards, and if they don't have a picture on it, 3-4 days later, when I pull them out of my suitcase or my bag and I'm looking over, I don't remember everybody. I don't remember everybody's name. A lot of times you haven't had a chance to have a long enough conversation with them that it's made an impression. People will step, oh, hey, how are you, Dave? And I like you. Want to talk to you about something. Can I give you my card? Yeah. The other side of that too. So yeah, put a picture on your card. That's that conversation. The other side of that too, when you want something from somebody, get their card. Sure, you can give them your card. But chances are somebody hands me a card and says, oh, I want to do some work with you. I'm probably not going to remember exactly who that was and make that call or email. But if you want something from me, you want to talk to me about something, you want to book me on something, you want some lessons from me, you want to interview me on your show, take my card and get in touch with me. And don't be offended if after 1-2 tries I haven't gotten back in touch with you. I'm a busy guy. I've got auditions. I've got work. Sometimes it's even funny. So, I booked this job. I'm already out doing this game for 2 or 3 hours. That's cutting into my audition time. I'm joking, but auditions that's a real job. I'm a busy guy. I teach. I travel. I go to conventions. All kinds of things. Paperwork, family, friends, just stuff getting in the way. No. So don't be surprised if me or somebody like me doesn't get right back to you. We're busy. Every now and then I do. Every now and then I do. Was that a dog just went by? Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's Sultan Gore. But make sure you get the person you're trying to reach, get their card so you can reach out to them. All right. Michael Palladini recently added a chaotic eyeball to my setup. Definitely worth it. Thank you, Michael. And Michael, New York talent, worked with him for a while, did his demo. And if you're looking for a guy with that New York voice, Michael Palladini is that guy. Good actor, too. Hey, Mark Rao. Hey, buddy. Nice to hear your golden voice. Well, thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Hello, Carmen Cruz Hart. Thomas, awesome advice as usual. Me, I have a face for radio. Yeah. DJ Kane, hey Dave, driving and listening. There you go. Mark, just saying hello to Mark. I love that guy. We have such a good time. And Mark, I need to talk to you. I'll give you a call and talk about a friend of ours that's having some problems. Um, how are you freaking doing now? How's that for your brand? You have a freaking doll now? I do? Is there's a Dave Fennoy doll? Nah, come on. Oh, that back there. um, that was, I was at a convention and they had a setup where you stood in the middle of this circle of lights and cameras. They clicked, it took a picture, and you paid them $100 or so. And a few weeks later, you got in the mail this doll of you with what you were wearing and what you looked like. And of course, it fell off there and it broke a hand, so now it looked like Fennoy de Milo. Hey, Steve Bailey, what's up, man? Al Green. Hey, Dave, every time I sign on, I learn something new. Good. Well, you know what? That's the point, because a lot of times I'm repeating myself, but people come in at different times. So, anyway, it was awesome to meet you and get your... There you go, Alex. Thanks for the kind words, man. No, loved working with you. Kelly Keys join. Hey, Dave. Kevin Michael Henderson Jr. Hey, Dave. How are you? I'm fine. What is your opinion about the Telltale property surviving more Batman in the future? Well, this is kind of inside information for people who are into video games and Telltale games in general. For those of you who don't know, after many years, Telltale Games suddenly went out of business. They were in the middle of doing the final season of the Walking Dead game, which is the game that I'm probably most famous for. And I mean, they just went black one day. It's like, oh, sorry, we're out of business. We're bankrupt, don't have any more money. Fortunately, Skybound stepped up and finished off the games, and now you can get the collector's edition. And what are you chewing on there, Sultan? Okay, yeah, you can take that. Now they have the collector's edition, and there's going to be some other great little add-ons that you can get, souvenirs. There's going to be a statue of Clem and Lee. I started to say me and Melissa, but Clem and Lee. You know, the only thing that would have made Lee Everett better was if he'd had dreadlocks. But, so what do I think about it? Well, let me see what happens. Several other companies have stepped up and purchased the rights to Telltale's name, and I think they're getting some of the properties that Telltale had as well. We'll see if they do as good a job or better. One of the great things about Telltale Games was they were a narrative story game from the beginning. The stars aligned with the Walking Dead game. It was the right property at the right time, with the right writers, all of that. And I was very fortunate. I happened to be available. They actually, and I've told the story before, they had actually hired somebody else to play Lee Everett. And that person had done the whole first episode. They listened back and they said, this isn't working. And a young man, Javier Espinoza, who had heard me on another Telltale game, playing a crooked politician, said, hey, let's try this Dave Fennoy guy. And about a week later, I had auditioned and got the part, and the rest is history. But to really answer your question, I really hope Telltale can come back stronger, and with the narrative focus that they've always had. All right. For those of us who aren't able to afford lots of classes, which free YouTube sites are suggested? I would visit a lot of them. I would visit mine. I would visit Bill DeWeese's. I would visit... just go down the list of all the people that you'd like to take classes with. Mark Grau was just here. I would visit Mark Grau's. There are a lot. Nancy Wolfson, I would visit her sites. Mary Lynn Wisner, of course. There's a ton of anybody that you'd want to take classes with. Visit their website. Everybody is offering up something for free. partially because the truth of the matter is you can read all the material, you can listen to everything, but it's the working with it and being critiqued and learning what your mistake is in the moment and correcting it in the moment with a teacher that really is going to push you forward. But I tell you this, you'll learn a lot. If your ear's really good and you understand everything they're saying, you can push yourself a little bit further. And the reason I tell people to go to the free sites and get as much as they can is because once you start spending your money, you don't want to waste your money. You want to step into a class and not have to second guess what the jargon means. Not have to wonder what they mean. Well, they said make it conversational. I don't understand. They say pull back a little bit. I don't understand what that means. Make it bigger. What's that mean? The kinds of things we hear. Just have fun with it. Anyway, always awesome advice and tips. I wish I were closer for Backyard Jazz. Oh, yeah. Backyard Jazz coming up on Sunday, September 28th. You can get your tickets at the door, or you can buy them at brownpaperticket.com. I'll tell you a little bit about Backyard Jazz. We're going to have biscuits and gravy. No, not to eat. Biscuits and Gravy is an old school R&B band. They play all the hits from 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. They are amazing. It's usually jazz, but we're going to get a little funky with it. So once again, if you live in LA, the 28th, it's $50 a ticket, but that ticket gets you all the music. It gets you a meal, all that you can drink, and a great party with a whole bunch of really cool people. Starts at 2, 6:30. Thank you, goodbye. Backyard Jazz. And as we say, Backyard Jazz, it's a great time for an even greater cause. Michael Glover, Gears of War 5. Is that you narrating? Okay, I think it's past the date now, so I can mention that. Yes, it is. Gears of War, which is a Microsoft property that's been out for, 10, 15 years? I don't know how long it's been out exactly. But I play a new character, and some of your old favorite characters are there, and my character and 2 others are spinning off into another adventure, and which will continue. And yeah, it's one of those battle games that drives you nuts. If you are a voice actor and you've been doing some video games, but you haven't done any war games, when you get one and says, "Oh yeah, we got a day of battle chatter," be aware. But yeah, that's me doing the narration on the promos and playing a character in the game. I knew it. Michael Club. I knew it. I told my wife. I knew it. LOL. Backyard Jazz, September 29th. Check that. Well, do we have any more questions? This could be a fast night. Joanna Garcia. Oh, she's saying hi to Michael Glover. Yes, just talk among yourselves. While I'm waiting to see if any more questions come in, let me remind you again, if you're interested in private lessons, you can just visit davefennoy.com, click on the study voiceover tab and book yourself. And I get this a lot. If you get a deal if you book 5 or more, you'll get 5 for the price of 4. But it only allows you to book the first one, and we just book the rest as we go. I also do demos, but only video game demos, and I really want to have worked with you for a while beforehand, or if you come recommended by another teacher that I know, then we might be able to do something. But I still want to hear what you're doing. Hey, there's Big Lou, who Chicago blues man, and Big Lou performed at Backyard Jazz and was a big hit. Big Lou, big hit. Thomas, where's your next group training session and con you are going to be at? because there's a number of classes in voice acting for video games, Mark Grau having one of them in October, I decided I'm going to wait till the beginning of next year to do a class. For a couple of reasons. I don't want to, be back to back with Mark. And once we get out of October, we're into Thanksgiving and Christmas, and people are pretty much busy doing other things. So January, February is when I'll be putting together another class or having another class. Yes, the date, Michael Glover, is the 29th, not the 28th. Did I say 28th? Silly me, I was wrong. 29th. Let me get a black magic marker in. No. Bianca Skinner, I finally got the courage to send you over my demo reel. Do you still want me to send it through Messenger? You know what? I'm not sure I saw it. Would you send it last week? I'm sorry, I was out of town for a bit. You can email it, davefennoy@mac.com, or you can send it through Messenger. Either way, I'll get to it sooner or later. And once again, when you send me your demos, I will listen to them. I might not listen to them right away. And there's a little hint in that when you're sending demos to agents, trying to get an agent, they will listen to them. But it's going to take some time. They don't walk in the office and go, oh, who sent me some demos today? Let's listen to some demos. No, they're trying to book talent in gigs, the people that they already represent. And when they get some time, they may say, oh, let's see, I got a few demos here. I've got 10 or 12 demos. Let me sit back and listen to a few. So don't be upset if you sent your demo in and, a week later, 2 weeks later, a month later, you haven't heard anything. Give them some time. Now, after that month, you might want to give them a little nudge, remind them that you sent it or ask them if they got it. Or maybe you booked something and I sent you my demo last week or last month or 2 months ago. And hey, I just booked this thing and just thought I'd let you know I was kind of excited about it. Hope you got a chance to listen to my demo. That might be the nudge to get them to listen. We human beings are funny creatures. A lot of times we don't recognize talent until somebody else recognizes it too. Some of us are a little, I don't want to go out on a limb and say this person is good. I mean, I think they're good, but I don't know for sure, so I'm going to wait till somebody else. Also, there are so many people knocking on the doors for agents, and so many people that aren't ready that send their demos in. Or maybe they are ready as a talent, but their demos aren't. One of the worst things you can do is be really good at what you do, and then for some reason, you decided you were going to do your own demo, even though you're not a mixer, you don't know how to use the sweetening software. Your studio is not that great, so you put a little demo together, you throw some music underneath it, or worse, you don't. I can't tell you the bad demos I've heard. And I want to tell people, don't send it. If you did it yourself, don't send it. Did I sound too harsh? Hey, Steve Tardio, what's up, man? Oh, no, trust me, I struggle keeping up as well. No worries there. Okay. Well, if no one's got anything else or I didn't miss anything, one more. What are you doing? And this is a suggestion. I'm not asking the question now for you to send them in. What are you doing every day to move your voiceover career further? If you're not working every day, what are you doing that's pushing you ahead so you are working every day? Or maybe think of it like this. If this is your career, imagine that you have an office to go to every day. Your office is your voiceover booth, your studio. So put in that time. Get to work about 9 o'clock. Knock off, get yourself some lunch. Might even take a long lunch. But keep doing what it is you need to do until 4 or 5 o'clock, like somebody with a regular job. Once I get up in the morning, some mornings I work out. Some mornings I take the dogs for a long walk. 9:30, 10 o'clock, I'm in the studio. And, that's if I don't have something pending at 9 o'clock in the morning. And this is where I am until, after now, usually 7 o'clock or so. Even though I work for myself and you'd think, oh, this is great hours. He works for himself. He can do it anytime he wants. No. You got to keep on the grind. I learned a long time ago now that you always have to be looking for new work. You always have to be reinventing yourself, because we get a gig and a few minutes later the gig is over. And I know if you're working in this, you know that feeling. You're ecstatic to go in and do your thing. You do your thing, and then the gig is over, and it's kind of, oh, it's done? Okay, well, let me go home and do some auditions and some other things. It's a high. And if you're at a point where it's not a high for you anymore, maybe you don't need to be doing it. Anyway, at the end of the year, do you have an account go over your tax? Yeah, an accountant go over my taxes, absolutely. That was something I was going to bring. None of us can do everything. I was trying to do some artwork, and I have a bad habit of not asking for as much help as I should probably ask for on a number of things, like doing artwork. And I realized, you know what? A, I don't have the time to do it. B, I'm not good enough at it. When you're trying to market yourself, when you're trying to keep your career going, you can't do it all. Nobody has the time or the knowledge. Find out the things you do well to move yourself along, and find out the things that you don't do so well and get some help. Okay? Keeping it real. Dalia Ramahi. Alex Wood. I'll be in touch later about a job. Okay. When starting out auditioning, is 50 auditions a good average per day? 50 auditions a day? Oh my goodness. Let's see, how long does it take you to do an audition? Don't say 5 minutes. Don't say 5 minutes. Sultan, why are you crying? Wait, Sultan wants to say hello. Come here. Come on. Say hello. See, people are looking at you. That's your good boy, Sultan. All right, get down. Thank you. Where was I? 50 auditions a day, that's, I would say, way too many. If you're not working at all, man, I want to spend a little time with my auditions. Sometimes you feel like, oh, I've got this. I know what this is. I'm just going to do it, and there it is. But I always like to be able to come back and take a listen. Sometimes it just feels good, it feels right, and then you come back and you realize it wasn't right at all. And all of us need to do that. Don't be so confident in yourself that you just think everything you do is right. So if you're doing 50 auditions in a day, you're not giving them enough time. I think of the number of video game auditions I get, and you have a character, and the auditions are getting better and better. When I say better and better, I'm not talking about my auditions. I'm talking about how the materials they send you, the description of the characters and the lines of the characters. Sometimes you get some that are like, who did this? Well, were they lazy? But I get really good auditions that they really show depth of the character. And it's not just this line, this line, this line. There are speeches. There are interactions with other actors. And sometimes that first or second time through, you're not getting all the meat. Just like going and see a movie that you haven't seen in a while. Now you're seeing stuff you hadn't seen before. Go back over that script. You may see some things, hear some things you didn't know were there. Take your time. You don't have to rush. 50 auditions is way too many auditions to do in a day. If I do 10 auditions in a day, that's a lot. Now, partially because I've been doing this so long, my agents know, oh, this works for him, this doesn't. A lot of auditions I turn down. If they're trying to get me to play a 20-something guy, I just don't really do that anymore. Know who you are. You don't go after everything just because it's there. Go after the things that are right for you or just outside what you think your wheelhouse is. Not saying don't go out on a limb sometimes, but 50 auditions, wow, that's way too much. No, not a puppy anymore. Lou knows the dog. I can only get to 3 a day if I'm lucky after work. Yeah, and it takes some time, and because you're working. Let's see. Scott Early, maybe I'm too impatient. I should slow down on my auditions. My question to you, Scott, would be how many of those auditions are you booking? What's your booking percentage? My booking percentage is pretty high. And still, like everybody else out here listening, I don't book nearly all the things that I audition for. If you're booking 1 in 10, you're killing it. All right. Hey, Dave, are the days going to be one agent? Are the days of going to one's agent's office to audition over? Are auditions all moving towards MP3s from home? I always like some direction when auditioning in animation and video games. You know, Steve, that's a good question. And yes, we are moving away from going in to see our agents and auditioning in the booth with a booth director. I probably get into my agent 2-3 times a year, maybe, for some kind of partner read, or just because, well, I'm over that way. I'm coming from this gig and this has got to be done then. I'll just stop by and do the auditions there. To be in this business nowadays, you really need a home studio. And if you're one of those people who doesn't have one yet, you should be one of those people who's planning on putting one together. Doesn't cost as much as it used to. Doesn't cost as much as it used to, but that's the direction the world is going. All right. What's considered a good audition ratio? I just said that might be, if you're doing 1 in 10, you're doing pretty well. 2 or 3 times a year. Wow. That answers my question then. Absolutely. It's technology has changed the game, and it's only going to continue to do so. I remember coming to town, and this was before the change. So we still had reel-to-reels. You still went to somebody's studio to do all the work. You still went to your agents for all your auditions. And little by little, as technology changed and people got home studios, we came to the world that we are now. And this world is going to change. It's not going to stay like this. I'm not sure what the new thing will be. I'm sure it will include recording from home, but what that equipment will be, what kind of microphones we'll have. We didn't have the chaotic eyeball, 10 years ago. And that has changed a lot for people traveling. So anyway, well, we've made it to about 6:48, and I didn't have a chance to get lunch today, so I'm getting kind of hungry, and I think I'm going to call it a day. Once again, join me next week. Oh, one more from Steve. I was told today not to call your demo a demo reel because we don't have tapes reels anymore. If you said that to me, I don't care. I don't know, it's not that big a deal. Just your demo. It's a reel. There's things we say that we have said for years, even though time has marched on, and that's that. Whoever said that, not a big deal. Yeah, your demo reel, your demo tape, your demo, whatever. And off topic, what did you like the Walking Dead definitive series? Yeah, absolutely. All right, that's it. Dave Fennoy checking out. I'll be back next Wednesday. Don't forget, Backyard Jazz on the 29th of this month. You can find it on my Facebook page if you'd like to come. And $50, great time, biscuits and gravy. And see you next week. And you want private lessons, go to davefennoy.com, click on the Study VO tab, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.